Oh, thanks, Garrett. So Garrett is a dear friend. His wife, Mar, is one of my best friends, and so they always host. She loves making me breakfast and food. That's one of my love languages that I like to receive. I can't cook, really, so I love eating food. But every time I'm at Mar and Garrett's house, we have these really great conversations on what we envision for the future of Hawaii and in the creative scene as well. But before I start, I want to say good morning. Thank you so much for joining me here at Salt Kaka'ako. I hope you're feeling great. I know it's an early morning for some of us. We don't like really venturing into town or even being up at this hour, but I am so happy that you're here. Before I get into it, I actually did this really impromptu. Nina Marie, first of all, can we give her a round of applause, everybody? So Nina and I have known each other for a few years, and in fact, we got together about a year ago, and I was telling her, I think I'm gonna move to New York. Yeah, do you remember? We were at, it was here, and I told her, and she was like, you can do it. And so to be able to be back here almost a year, we're coming up on a year, which is crazy, and to have her share this space with me means so much. So I am gonna start, because I'm a musician, I felt like it was only fitting that I would start with a song. So I am going to sing something for you and pass this on to my friend here. Thank you so much. You're gonna do that for me, thank you. But before you do, I want you to turn to the person next to you on both sides and say, good morning, I'm glad you're here. Can we do that? Yeah. Good morning. All right. All right, so I'm gonna be talking about patterns, and I'm gonna press that again for me. I'm gonna start off by singing a song that I wrote about 4 years ago. It was called I Am. And I had a lot of friends that would tell me, oh, you know, you're gonna do such great things in this world, like you can do it, I can already see it. And at that time, I didn't really believe it, really. And I remember I was seeing a lot of things talking about manifestation or speaking life, speaking what you believe into existence. And I'll be real, I was a Debbie Downer. I was like, no, that stuff is just fake. It doesn't really happen, come on. And I told myself, all right, how about I do a little experiment? I'll write a song about all the things that I hope one day will come true. Things that I don't really necessarily even believe yet that I can do, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, so I'm gonna share it with you. And I'm gonna have Nina play the guitar for me. And it goes a little something like this.
Got the best of me, but there's no bitterness there. It has gone elsewhere, and all that's left is my heart open to the world. I'm ready to change the world with my stories and your stories in these songs. And I hope you'll sing along, you'll sing along. This is my song, sing. 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 sing. This is my song, sing. This is my song, and I'll sing.
Can you guys clap along with me? Here we go. 1, 3, and.
This is my song, sing. This is my song, sing.
Yeah.
This is my song, sing. This is my song, sing. This is your song, sing. And this is our song, and I'll sing. Oh, close your eyes, come with me to a place you'll soon will see. My mind is my sacred space to define the way I see the way the world sees me. And I hope you'll sing along, you'll sing along, sing along.
Thank you so much. Nina Marie, everybody. I love her so much. I literally just brought that on her in like 2 minutes before she got off the stage. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I love you. All of my friends know I do that. I just have these spur of the moment ideas, and you just have to do it sometimes. You never know. That was fun, right? I feel like that was fun. Anyway, that's my song. And okay, fast forward. I made an experiment. I said, I'm gonna write these words, let's see what happens. Wrote that in 2018, and now I can proudly say, in 2024, since then, that song became the title song of my very first full-length album called I Am. And it was really cool because I wrote that whole album during the pandemic, which was nuts. But I'm really grateful for that time because following that year, I won 2021 Most Promising Artist and R&B Album of the Year at the Nahoku Hanohano Awards. So that was cool. I have been able to perform that song in many different spaces here, the Republic, at the Waikiki Shell. I've got to actually travel to Europe. I went to Paris and Amsterdam, and I got to share that song with people out there. I got to share it with the youth and kids. This was with a bunch of kids that were battling cancer, and I got to share the song with them and kind of spark some life and hope into them. And I got to go to the White House last year and sing this song to the president and a bunch of very important, scary people. But yeah, I got to do that. And I have this little video here, but I wasn't really planning on showing the video. But I got to tour the United States cross-country on a tour bus. I was opening up for Mike Love, who's an incredible, incredible artist. And I got to live out my dreams of being on a tour bus and driving across the country. This is my MTV Cribs video.
We got a couch right here to hang.
Also, if you ever go on a tour bus, don't take the top bunk, okay? I thought, oh, I want to live on the top bunk. Don't do it. You're going to be driving through and the canyons, and you're almost going to fall off your bed. So always fight for the bottom bunk.
We got our groceries.
Right?
Microwave.
All right, so we're going to be talking about patterns, and I'm going to give this very brief. I had this whole idea, and Noah was like, okay, make sure you can say it all in 20 minutes. I was like, oh, shoot, okay, let's condense it. So if you want the full-length version of this, I'm going to be giving us some opportunities later to discuss and stuff, but patterns are everywhere. It was actually really difficult for me to come up with what the heck am I going to fit and talk about in 20 minutes in patterns, but patterns make up basically everything we know. Everything about who we are and everything around us. I mean, these are just some of the things, but really, language is the patterns of sounds. And when you're learning a new language, you have to try and figure out what is a sentence structure so that way you can comprehend and communicate with others. When you're writing a song, music is literally the patterns of sounds and words to invoke a message for people to feel and listen to through song. And patterns are all throughout nature. 3 patterns that have greatly transformed my life were these 3 things that I'm going to be discussing very briefly, which are the patterns of belief, of courage, and interconnection. So if you're a note taker, feel free to write those down. If not, we're going to keep going. going to start off with the pattern of belief. So, at our very essence, we have been passed down beliefs from our parents, from our guardians. We've either conceptualized and come up with patterns through experiences that we've had, or we've actively tried to get ourselves to believe things, such as my example in the beginning, right, of, okay, I don't know, we'll see what happens, but let me just at least try and take this action and see what happens. And so there's a lot of things that happen to us, and when you are trying to be someone in this world, you have to take the time to step back and reflect and look at who you are, not just through your own eyes, because subconsciously there are beliefs that we have that have been ingrained into us that can sometimes be limiting, but not all the time. Some of us have some really strengthening, uplifting patterns and beliefs in ourselves, and in fact, I'm going to share one. This is my mom. She had to work today, but my grandma's actually here, so can we everybody say hi, Grandma? Hi, that's my mom's mom, so it's really great that she's here. When I was younger, I was so in love with my mom. I still am, but when I was young, I just hated being away from her. I would get crippling anxiety as a 6-year-old. Every time she would drop me off at school, it got to the point where the health room ladies knew me by first name. And I'd come in and they'd be like, Keilana. And I'd be like, I have a tummy ache. Can you call my mommy? And my mom would have to pick me up from school every other day. And she'd be like, Keilana, what's going on? I was like, I don't feel good. And so I had really bad anxiety. And my mom, from a young age, would make me say this mantra over and over and over again when she was brushing my hair, when she was giving me a bath. And right before I would go to bed, she would make me repeat this back to her. And so she would say, you can do anything. And I would tell her, I set my mind to, and she would make me repeat it over and over again. And even when I was heading to school, right before she'd kiss me goodbye, she said, you can do anything. And I said, I set my mind to. And I feel like I'm really grateful to my mom for instilling this belief into me, because if I look at my life and I step back and look at every single high and low, you see this reoccurring pattern in my life. And it truly is, I really believe that I can do anything I set my mind to. Sometimes it works in my favor, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, I do think that I can do this thing, and sometimes it's not really the right decision to make, but all to say, your beliefs really are the building blocks to who you can be and who you will be and how you show up in this world. And so it's very important to look at your patterns and your belief patterns, and sometimes you need to adjust them. Sometimes you need to encourage them a little bit more. I forget what that is. Like I said, beliefs are the core foundation of who we are, and whatever you believe ends up becoming your thoughts. So if you're going around internally telling yourself, oh, I'm not really good enough, I'm never going to do anything, you're never going to make the choice or the thoughts to maybe step outside of that box. But if you believe I can do anything, you'll start thinking, maybe I can write this song, maybe I can put this thing up for this, maybe I can move, maybe I can try put myself out there. And once you start having those thoughts, you move forward through choice. Make a choice to believe those patterns, believe those positive beliefs. And after a while, those choices, if you keep making them over time, they become habits, right? And once you start instilling these habits, living them day to day, they end up becoming a part of your daily routine. I can tell you, I was not someone who would be able to sit here with a microphone and talk to people, because I just am terrified. I still feel a little bit of that fear in me, but I've been doing this quite a bit to the point where now I'm not too afraid to just try. And once you get into these routines, they become your lifestyle, right? And so if you get into this habit of trying to push yourself, be out there, you can start creating a lifestyle where eventually you'll be able to make a legacy for yourself. And this has always been a dream of mine. Besides singing, I want to be able to instill and speak life into people. And this is actually my first keynote, really, without a guitar, I do a little blur before I start singing, but this is the first time I'm talking more than I am singing. So I'm really grateful to all of you for being here, because I am hoping that one day I can take this talk everywhere and in different spaces, because I want to build a legacy. If you have a hard time figuring out, okay, I don't know if my beliefs are any good or any bad, don't worry, I wrote some down for you. These are some really powerful belief statements. And I want you to look at one of them, if you can see it, and start to slowly implement that into you. One of the big ones for me that took a while was I love you. I had a dear friend of mine who had been in my life for forever, and she knows that sometimes I don't make the right decisions in love. And she made me, after a vent session, she made me look in the mirror. She's like, okay, I'm gonna have you look in this mirror and you're gonna do exactly what I say, okay? And I was like, all right, sure. And she says, I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to say, I love you. And I was like, girl, this is so weird. Can you stop making me do this? This is awkward. And she's like, come on, do it. I was like, okay, I love you. Okay, can we stop? And she's like, come on, do it. I was like, I love you, I did it. And she tells me, can you tell me I love you? And I look at her endearingly and I tell her, I love you, you know I love you. And she tells me, why can't you tell your own self that? Why is it so weird for you to say that to yourself? And oh my gosh, the light bulb went out for me. And from that moment on, I started trying to implement habits in my life. I would write to myself, hey, good morning, da-da-da-da-da, this was what I did today. Anyways, off to go and try and have a great day. I love you. And it got to a point where I really started believing that I love myself, and it doesn't come from a place of, I'm better than anyone. It's really just trying to speak life into me so that way I can move about in the world and be, I don't know, like a beacon of like, this is what happens when you slowly start to believe that in yourself, you know? But if you have people in your life that need a little bit of a push, I would encourage you maybe later today, send them a little text or any one of these. I'm grateful for you. I believe in you. Hey, thank you. You did great work today. I'm glad you exist. You make a difference. You did a good job. If you want to tell me you did a good job at the end, then I'll be around. But just kidding. All right, the second pattern that I want to share with you that has transformed my life was the pattern of courage. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You're able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror, and I can take the next thing that comes along. In a similar fashion, courage sometimes doesn't come easy to all of us. It doesn't really come easy to me either. But I've learned that in order to start building courage, the pattern of action in courage is kind of like this. You start off with a little bit of curiosity. So one day, about 5 years ago, I was visiting and traveling in New York. And I remember looking around and saying, wow, this is really nice. I love the vibe here. I've never been this far out before. I could picture myself here. Could I really live out here? No, there's no way. But I wrote in my journal that day after I was in New York, and I said, I hope one day I get to live on the East Coast at one point in my life. I also wrote, because at this time I didn't have any music out yet, and I said, I hope one day I can put out an original song. I hope one day I can win a Nahoku, and I hope that one day I can win a Grammy. So when you start having that curiosity, you start discovering, you take action, you start learning about things. So once I started having this feeling of, oh, I want to live in New York, I started looking at Google. How much is it to afford to live in New York? Oh my gosh, I learned how much it was to live in New York. Oh boy. But I discovered that, I gained knowledge, and from that I knew, okay, if I want to make this a reality, then I am going to have to take action. I'm going to have to start doing some things to really make this a reality. I'm probably going to have to work a little bit harder and stand a little taller and, do things that I wouldn't normally do. From these actions, you gain experience. And from experience, you slowly start to gain the confidence. And from confidence, you gain the credibility. I'll tell you guys another funny little story. I attended my very first Creative Mornings Honolulu talk about a year and a half ago. It was in January. And Mar suggested me to Noah. She's like, hey, my friend, she plays music. She could do like the morning set before the talker. And I was opening the space for Nick Kuchar, who's an incredible artist. And so Noah reaches out to me. And he's like, hey, Mark gave me your number. You know, are you down to sing, perform? And I said, yeah, sure. And Noah doesn't know this, but at the time, I was like beads of sweat down my face. I'm like, yeah, sure. So long as I get to do a talk one of these days. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, that would be cool. Our board actually decides speakers for the year, but we might have like a songwriters round, and we're gonna have different artists here, and you guys can share your songs. That might be a cool talk. Another 5 beads of sweat down my face responding back to him. Oh, that sounds like a really great idea, but actually, I have some other things that I do besides play music. I love to speak, and I love to encourage people and talk about self-love, self-development, and career. And so I would love to do my own. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. But fast forward, about 6 months ago, I also told him, this was really crazy about that whole experience. I said, oh, also, by the way, I'm gonna be moving to New York, and I would love to speak to people about my experience there, or kind of let people know that I will be moving there. So either or, but yeah, just putting it out there, no worries. And so it's really great to be here now in this space and being able to share this time with you guys, because yeah, really that is the power of courage, power of belief. And last but not least, like I said, I moved to New York. It's coming up on a year, which has been insane to me. But I will be honest that was one of the most terrifying, slightly, no, I won't say stupid. I don't want to say stupid. One of the most terrifying, hardest experiences of my life. I didn't have any prospects yet. I don't have any family out there, but I told myself I would do this. And it all happened because in 2020, when the home order shutdown happened, I found that journal where I wrote, I want to live on the East Coast. I want to go win a Grammy. And at that time, I had not accomplished any of those things. And I remember having this really big breakdown where I felt like, wow, I did not do any of the things that I said I was going to do. And I remember watching this video once that said the biggest regret of people at the end of their life is not how much money they've made or what status they've achieved in their career. It's actually not being courageous enough to follow their dreams or even to take action and be who they really are. A lot of people in their dying age will say that, I wish I didn't spend so much time worrying about what people thought of me, and I actually just took this time to really truly be me, because by the time they reach the end of their life, you know, they realize I spent so much time trying to live someone else's dream and someone else's life that I didn't really take the time to live mine. And I remember seeing that video, and it played in my mind on that lockdown order day. And I said, damn, I am so dumb. I didn't do anything. And now I don't know if I'm ever gonna be able to be in spaces with people again, if I'm ever gonna be able to sing and perform. So I prayed, and I said, if I ever again get to be outside of my house and sing or perform, I'm gonna live it to my fullest capacity. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna live in my what ifs, and I'm gonna live in my what. I'm gonna live in my I wills. And so moving to New York was one of those big I wills that lead me next into my final point, which is the pattern of interconnection. I'm a proud graduate of Kamehameha schools, and one of the beautiful things that was instilled in me was this Keilana, not just for my people and for Hawaiians, but for the people that have created and made this place home. Living in New York, you realize how different people are. I won't necessarily say it's bad, it's just completely different, and so it was a big culture shock. But one thing I did realize is there's something so beautiful about the people here. It's not just ohana and this feeling of family, it's also aloha, but more so it's this this feeling of connection to not just who we are right now in the present, but our ancestors were and who we will be in the future. And so I want to share this quote, this olelo no eo, which is, "Ikava mamua, ikava mahope." The future is found in the past. These are the gifts of the past, present, and future. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, so you can look at them. When you're spending time in the present, that's when you can experience joy and clarity and connection. But if you spend too much time there, you can kind of do some impulsive things. If you spend too much time in the past, which I can admit, I love ruminating sometimes. It makes for really great songs. In the past, though, that's where you find lessons. That's where you gain wisdom. And that's where you can learn compassion for yourself. Because a lot of us will spend time in the past and say, oh my gosh, I was so stupid then. No, don't remind me of that. And when you can really learn, like, okay, I only knew what I knew at that time with those tools. So learning to have self-compassion when visiting the past is important. The future, if you spend too much time in the future thinking, that's where anxiety comes from, right? It's from trying to prepare for the worst. And it takes you away, it really robs you of right now and right here. You have a lack of gratitude, but also the great thing about being in the future is that's where you look forward for purpose, find the hope and vision. When you can learn to connect all dimensions of time, your past, your present, and your future, and build a bridge that pleases all of them, I truly feel that that's when you can start to feel a sense of fulfillment in life. So if any of you don't feel that sense of fulfillment, it may be because you're spending too much time in one of these areas, and you have to start bridging beliefs. You have to start bridging some courage to make sure you can build a pathway for all of them. And so an example of this would be, I'm here talking to you all right now about the things that I plan to do, the spaces that I want to create. And even though this is my first time, this might not be my best talk, the fact that I'm here doing this, pleasing a past version of me that said, I would love to create spaces for people, I would love to do a TED Talk one day. I am honoring past version of me in the present while also preparing for the future. Since I've been away from home, I have realized that there are so many beautiful similarities to the people outside of this place, but also there are so many differences that I can learn to appreciate. I've been able to find that although aloha can only be found here in Hawaii, there are people out there. It does exist in different forms, especially in a place like New York. A lot of people, when I first told them, oh, I'm going to be moving, they're like, why on earth would you leave this place? Or even the people there, I moved in the winter, and I would have to show my Hawaii ID to get my boxes. They'd read it, they'd be like, what are you doing out here? Why would you leave that place? And I'd be like, please, I'm already regretting my decision. Don't stop. This cold? No. But it's been so beautiful because I have been able to take who I am from these experiences of being raised here in this beautiful place, and I've been able to emanate that. A lot of people that I've met out in New York have said, you have this light about you, I think it's the islands, or you have this energy that makes me want to help you. And even here at home, so many of you have actually bridged the gap and built opportunities for me to find these people in New York. And these beautiful people, I'm so proud to share with you. They are my home away from home. I've been learning more about other parts of my heritage, my Filipino culture, through these beautiful people. I found a community of Filipinos in Queens. I love them. My goal with being out in New York was to be able to work on my next project, which I am, another R&B project. And these incredible people right here are my brothers of Infinite Ethos. We're working on a project. Some of these people, I've made friends with people in my community. I live in a very Latino community. So I am practicing my Espanol, but lo siento, it's not good yet. No me gusta. But, and I've been able to meet people in Europe And I've been able to find indigenous people that are so similar to the Native Hawaiians here. And I want to share their stories so badly. And so all of these experiences that I've been having here at home, I'm sharing out there. But while I'm out there, I am making it a point to write and be present and think about, wow, these are stories that I'm going to be able to share with people here. These are resources that I'm going to be able to share with my fellow creatives here. And I really want to thank those of you here with me in this present moment that are going to be the building blocks to help me to create this future of Hawaii, because the reality is we don't have the resources that we need out here to sustain ourselves. And that's what I've been learning living out in New York is eventually, if we don't stay proactive right now, and we don't have people courageous enough to go out there, go away from home for a bit, to gain these experiences and these connections, we're not going to have a Hawaii that we can proudly share with everyone. We're going to be priced out, and I don't want that. I don't want that for our creatives out here, and that is why I decided to be confident and brave enough to leave home. I just shared that outrageous dream, so that was what that was. Last but not least, the patterns of our lives reveal us, and our habits measure us. I want you all to take these next few days, months, weeks, whatever, and I really hope that these words resonated with you, because really the patterns that I've shared today are what you can take to create your own life map. You have to take the time to reflect, set goals, adjust them accordingly, create accountability. You can't make something happen if you don't have people around you. A lot of us try to do it all on our own, and I've been trying to do it all on my own for so long, but it doesn't work. You have to create accountability, you have to create community, you have to celebrate, take time to celebrate, keep working, but also make time to rest. I want you all to know that you are all masterpieces as well. When you start to believe that there are patterns in all things, you start to realize that life is truly a work of art. And when you realize that you are a part of life, that makes you a work of art. So I want you to make sure you realize that you have one life, not anyone else's life, and you are your own work of art. So how are you painting your picture? How are you painting your life? Well, anyway, this was a video of me singing I Am at the Nahoku Hanohano Awards. And every time I share this now with people out in the States, I always open up with the ori just to make sure, I represent. But this was such a beautiful time in my life. And this is only the beginning of what I have in store. So I want to say thank you so much to all of you for being here, and I can't wait to see what we all do together in the coming future. Mahalo nui and aloha.
So my question is, for a lot of people, well, you're talking about how hope propels your life,
Yes.
and not shame.
Right.
But I think for a lot of people, the way we make those kinds of decisions is shame-based. I don't want to be this kind of person. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to repeat this experience. So you talked about a little bit about it, but how did you kind of shift away from shame-based decisions to more of a hope-based vision of the future?
Let's see. I would say, I'm currently dealing with some decisions where I'm like, gives me ultimate shame. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? But really, whatever you're ashamed of, you're putting too much of attention on that one thing. So if you were ashamed, say for example, about a decision you made at work, I think learning to change your perspective and switch the script from, oh my gosh, I was stupid, to giving yourself a little bit of compassion and saying, oh, okay, at that time I didn't know this. That's all the information I had at that time when I made this decision. So it's okay. Now that I know, what am I going to do differently to not make that same mistake? So, the shame, a lot of people don't like to feel regretful. But I feel regret is necessary so that you don't keep making the same stupid decision over and over again. I've definitely made some decisions that I'm not very proud of, but every single time, I'll be honest. Okay, so there was a person in my life that I'd met out there in New York, and I was, feeling like, oh my gosh, this could be great, but it didn't work out. And I felt so sad about it to the point where I was like, I'm so ashamed that I should just go back to Hawaii. And then I realized, whoa, I'm giving that way too much of my mental headspace, because I need to remember that I am not just there for that person. There are so many bigger things, and so it's okay for me to want love. It's okay to want connection. But from what I know, what I've gathered, this doesn't feel connected. So let's redirect our energy into places and spaces where I do feel that connection, I do feel that love. And yeah, so just really switching perspectives and rerouting, like GPS,
How do you feel like other people surrounding you play a role in giving you courage and then also finding interconnectivity within your life?
I truly feel like the people surrounding me, I think it's very important to instill this in all of us. Like, you have the power to uplift someone and to give someone life, or you have the power to give someone death, to kill their dreams. And I have been so lucky, and I feel like living in Hawaii has offered this. There's so much love and compassion and sense of family here that you won't really find people telling you, oh, you shouldn't do that, or oh, you suck. In fact, I don't think anyone in Hawaii would say you suck to your face. But the beautiful thing about that is I've been very lucky, because if I look back at my career when I started doing music 10 years ago, I look at it and I'm like, ooh, I thought that was like really good back then, but that was okay. I'm not gonna say it was terrible. But I had beautiful people telling me, wow, you are so good. You are gonna make it. Keep going. And I really believe all of us in here have the power, like I said, to really create people that will go out into the world. If you don't want to change the world, one small thing you tell someone can change the world and make them think that they can do something. Because I am a byproduct of that. I am a byproduct of people here in this community telling me that I have a voice. I had a speech teacher tell me, you are going to be an orator one day, sharing stories. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I can't. And here I am, So I encourage you, please, to be someone that speaks forward life into someone, because yeah, like I said, that interconnectivity, I still remember that speech teacher. I still remember that lady at my first singing competition that said I was going to make it one day. And I keep bringing those people into all of these different dimensions of time with me, into my present. I make sure to honor them. And I make sure to pass on those same words to someone else who may be the next person to take this baton and bring it further than I could ever. So.
You're here. Are you performing anywhere locally?
I will be updating the KeilanaMusic.com calendar. As of right now, no, but keep up to date. Look at it every day. There might be something that pops up, but for right now, no, sadly. Yeah, if you want to book me though, you can.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Give her a hand.